And it's time again for PM Express here on the Joy News channel. Great to have you with us as we're just getting indications from Global Info Analytics that the NDC's approval rating, with just a few days into office, is soaring high, raising questions again about how the New Patriotic Party will unturn all of these fortunes for the NDC and make a strong comeback in the next elections. And that's why we're doing the 2024 post-election analysis, looking at the NPP's loss once again and looking at the prospects of the party going into the future. This we all know about because many of you in the public out there did participate in that crucial elections, general elections it was, for the presidential, clear indication that the NDC obviously won, with the NPP coming there second in the elections. But this has been, a rundown of how both parties have been faring over the last 30 years of our democratic trajectory. And you see that the NPP is at an all-time low ever since 1996. In fact, 1996 was way better with some 39.60%. That was the fortune of the party way in 96. But look at it today, 41.75%. That's where the NPP is standing as of today. But the NDC, is tramping up with some 56.42%. That's nowhere near, of course, 92. And we all know the trajectory because of the system at which we were transitioning from a military regime into that 1992 dispensation. So it quite explains why the figures were quite soaring at the time for the NDC. But if you look at the trajectory for the NPP, you see the figures just slumping all the way in 2024, when of course they had quite a significant approval rating somewhere in 2000 elections, where they were rating somewhere around 56.9%. So that's bringing back the question as to what the party will do in just a space of 4 years to overturn all of this. What you see on the screen right now, all the green goes for the NDC, 183. That's the number we're dealing with in terms of the fortunes of the NDC, but just 88. And that's why, of course, you've been hearing about that proverbial name of micro-minority, but the NPP doesn't like that description because they say they are mighty, even with the numbers that they have. Look at this. 4 is supposed to be independent, but in Parliament, they're deciding to work with the NDC side, giving them additional figures and making the NDC group the majority side. But the NPP is still holding on to this number, believing that all of that would change in a space of 4 years. One still outstanding, that's a story for another day, because the Ablekuma North issue has not been resolved. The NPP says it needs to go in their favor. In fact, we'll be putting that to them shortly, just to find out what the party is doing to secure that. At least that will give them 89 seats. Let's see what then happens. But the parliamentary trend is quite clear that in just 4 years, we're moving from a hung parliament, moving straight into, a supermajority there for the NDC, and the NPP coming through with some 88 seats. We'll see what happens to the extraordinary one, the Ablekuma North, which the Electoral Commission is yet to resolve. But just a few days for the NDC in office, and look at what Ghanaians have been saying, according to Global Info Analytics, which predicted the outcome of how the elections was going to look like. They've done a post-election analysis pointing to a 74% approval rating for what you see in the green there for the National Democratic Congress in terms of what they're seeing so far. The NPP has a different story. We'll hear all about that tonight. But for those who still believe and hold that view that things are not going right, they appear to be in the minority, 16%, and 10% obviously no opinion there as to whether or not we're moving right or wrong. But you out there, you watching us tonight, what do you think about the direction so far? And do you believe that the NPP could overturn the fortunes and make a strong comeback in the next 4 years? That's the big question we're asking here on PM Express, brought to you by Syntex Tank, Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, and the Academic Times Journal. Be my guest, because tonight we're speaking to the Director of Communications for the NPP, Richard Ahiagba is my guest. He's seated already, and we'll delve deeper into the matters and find out the strategy of the NPP. And welcome back, Ghana. We need to talk about this. Let's talk water tanks. Do you know, first of all, that if you're using a tank that doesn't have the tortoise logo on it, then, of course, it's not safe for water storage. It's simple. If we're talking about tanks, then you need to, of course, be on the lookout for the tortoise tank. Syntex tank is that champion of water tanks. It is strong and it is durable, built to handle Ghanaian weather. Rain or shine, just think about it. Syntex tank has your back. So, my people, you need to go out there, check your tank, and if it definitely does not have the tortoise logo on it, then it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. And don't forget to call 0244 335 168 to buy now. Or you can also find out more from over 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, tough, strong. Academic Times Journal is also supporting PM Express tonight because the Times Journal is launching soon with 3 distinctive graphic publications and a journal to showcase and empower students across all the educational levels, while the journal and the Tertiary G is seeking to ensure that tertiary students research and do more by impacting the society and contributing to institutional and national development. The High School G, the High G, I should say, and Basic G seeks to develop critical thinking, prepare young minds for higher education, and ensure that high and basic school students, those using the Cambridge equivalent and system, understand the issues of societies and the world around them. The mission is simple: to actually change the face of academic publishing by delivering research in engaging graphic while transforming complex studies into podcasts and videos as well as documentaries. So ready to make an impact? If you are, follow them clearly on the following details that I'm about to give you, because if you need more information, all you need to do is to be on the lookout for the academictimes.com online and the graphics at tertiarygraphic.com and highgraphicgh.com, as well as the basicgraphicgh.com for collaborations as well. You can also reach out to them via info@theacademictimes.com or call them on 053 050 8034 for more information. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is also here because every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease as well, in some cases as we have it, and also foul breath. So brushing your teeth morning and night should be based on the use of Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, which is giving you your teeth protection that they need. 10 times stronger is what they are offering you, and that's why we're proudly supported by Pepsodent Cavity Fighter. It's time now for us to zoom into our conversation. Joining us tonight is Richard Ahiangba, Communications Director for the New Patriotic Party. He'll be speaking to us shortly. Mr. Ahiangba, thank you for joining us tonight. But of course, this is all coming and flowing from the back of the conversation that we're just bringing out to you. The latest Info Analytics report, post-election analysis, suggesting that some 74% of people believe that the country is moving in the right direction. Why are they doing this analysis, and why now, though? Musa Dankwa works with Global Info Analytics, joins us via the telephone lines now. He will shortly be providing us with some understanding to this, but obviously, Richard, you disagree with it. I was just showing the data out there, and of course, you have a lot of questions to ask, but many say it's early days yet for the NDC, so it's maybe a fluke. You believe same?
Well, absolutely. Good evening to you and to your viewers. I think that presidents walk into office with high approval rating, and so this is really not an indication for anything new. It's just been the nature of things that any president will walk into office. I was just trying earlier on to find you, the approval ratings of Akufo-Addo when he was
walking into office.
That is, I mean, just thinking about the ambience in the country, the joy, the excitement. If we were to measure that, it would be through the roof.
It was a significant endorsement in 2016, isn't it?
It was a landslide, right? And so the expectation is that presidents will walk into office with goodwill, especially when the election is clean and the people express their verdict for an individual to come into office. You see the will of the people is right behind it. So this is nothing extraordinary, nothing new.
But you have a bigger challenge, as many would say. Just look at it, 183. That's the significant number in terms of the NDC's appreciation of parliamentary seats.
Well, If you look at it very clearly, there was 169 before 183.
Right.
Now, so then if you look at 2020, where we were, about almost on level terms, about 136, 137. You can just assume that we're on an even keel coming into the 2024 election, given the balance of power in Parliament. And so there isn't anything extraordinary. If the NDC were starting from a place of disadvantage, say, for example, where we were in 2016 when we came in, then you would probably be saying that they have covered a lot of grounds, right? And giving also the goodwill they had in opposition. Because, you know, when you're in government, you become the butt that everybody, you become the object that everybody hit at. Right. So therefore, as a government, we suffered a lot of headwinds. And we know that most of the difficult decisions that had to be taken, given the misfortune of COVID and all the attendant policies that has to be taken to ensure that the country gets back on the growth path that we're on before COVID came in. So you see from there that the party and the government was fighting the headwind, and through that, the NDC, enjoyed the advantage of gaining.
Has the New Patriotic Party carried out a scientific search as of now as to perhaps why you have lost the election and what that big factor, missing link was for the NPP? Have you done that yet? Because the opinions are still divided. We heard from the vice president, who was then a candidate, pointing to a few issues. Well, have you carried out a comprehensive search?
There's nothing conclusive yet. I know we have the election review committee that is working assiduously. I've been following their movements across the country, trying to figure out from party people exactly what they thought went wrong. There is a number of, I think at least one that I'm aware of, that is being commissioned, a study that has been commissioned to actually also run on the back of the review committee to see if we can glean anything from the general population, what they have gone.
So you're not done?
But no, there's nothing concluded just yet, but there are efforts underway. But what I think you should know, and all of us should know, walking away, is that it was a difficult election. It was a difficult economy globally. And if you look, it's not only in Ghana. A lot of incumbent governments are losing. If you look at America, what happened, right? It was a massive win for the Republicans. And so it's a general trend that is going on. Now you can look at the numbers and say it's great for the NDC, but these things happen. And as I said to you earlier, there was 2016 169 before 2024 183. So those things don't really indicate much, except that the political party, the resilience and the commitment to rebuild is what really would indicate.
You were looking at the trends, isn't it? At least the UK elections was a classic one.
That was
the Conservatives had gone home. You saw the outlook was there, yet you were communicating to Ghanaians that you still wanted to break the 8.
Well, certainly. I mean, because
that was not, you were not being candid with the people of Ghana.
No. If you look at, I think, the Nigerian election before ours, okay, that's also is a trend you can look at. But the point was that, yes, UK and the US before us, but the point is that you know what program you are pursuing. You cannot take the factors in that election, superimpose it on ours, and then conclude that because they lost.
So what was giving you the hope then? That, yes, we're breaking the 8?
Yes. So the idea for us was that the proposals we're making going forward, we have admitted the challenges we came against, following the COVID and the efforts that we're making to rebuild. Especially DDEP was a difficult decision, but a necessary one that ought to be taken. So we acknowledge the difficulties, but the proposals we're making going forward were proposals that were going to dig us out of the difficulty and position Ghana on a straight path of growth. So we're confident in that, and the effort that was given to ensuring the candidate, the vice president, then going around the country, literally for the first time, visiting every constituency across the country to be able to tell them exactly, yes, we appreciate the difficulty, but going forward, these are the ideas that will bring us out. On the back of a recovering economy, we thought that would be a good sell and a good proposition for Ghanaians to buy into. But unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way we envisaged. But we are confident that we'll build on that momentum. There's a lot of takeaway from the outcome. and then you know how turnout in our stronghold was, and across the country turnout was very low, and such instances will always affect the incumbent party or government. And so we're clear we're going to win the election because the ideas were taken to the market was a good idea, was a progressive idea, ideas that I believe the NDC, if they are minded to pursue them, it would help Ghana ultimately. So we're confident in the product we're putting out, and that was where our hope was coming from.
Except to say that Ghanaians didn't buy into that product. This was John Mahama in 2016 that you sold to Ghanaians as the incompetent one, quote and unquote. It was very clearly running through the themes of every single top NPP bigwig. Then, post-2020, he's back with the highest number of votes that we haven't seen in a long time.
Right. I mean, so you have to.
It's all over for the NPP, isn't it?
Oh no. You have to look at the numbers that the NDC got objectively. Right. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's numbers were nothing extraordinary. If you look at the numbers from 2020, he's appreciated with just about some 300 or so votes, 300,000 votes maximum, if you look at his 2020 numbers. So there's nothing extraordinary there. What is extraordinary is the extent of apathy, the vote margin that we got in 2016 and how that has dropped in 2024.
I've heard the Vice President say that. I mean, what's the scientific basis for that? You're assuming that everyone who went out to vote was NDC.
No, we're not saying that necessarily, but if you just look casually,
yeah, that's your assumption. It's the assumption of the NPP,
no, we're
right?
saying that.
You don't have any basis, to back that.
No, but I'm just saying that. Just look at the two numbers. 2020, what vote we got? We got in excess of 6 point something billion, right? And look at what NDC got, right? They got now about some 6.5 or so million votes. And see what we got in 2020 and what we are getting now.
I'm saying
in excess,
that you're assuming that all these people who came out.
But I'm saying
we're NDC supporters.
Imagine you are. No. So this is just an objective analysis. If you look at your performance, as an A student who got 99% and still got an A, and there was another exam where you got 70 or 80, and maybe you're getting a B or something less than that. You can be judged by your previous performance.
You're being too entitled as the NPP, isn't it? That, well, it was our supporters, they didn't come out.
No, you can say that because there's a vote you had, and that vote has decreased. That's not an issue to quibble about much. But it's just saying that without making any specific point. But you say,
but you admit that you don't have any basis for that.
No,
scientifically.
That's your. No,
I'm just asking. I'm asking the question.
You don't have to have a basis or not. I'm just saying that.
You must have a basis.
No, I'm just saying that. Just look at the numbers as they were in 2020 and say that here's a political party that won with in excess of 6.5 million votes. A party that lost, with about 6 million or so, the NDC got there. Now, our vote in 2020, has declined in 2024, and we're saying that what lost there is us.
You're assuming then that Ghanaians could not change their mind.
No.
In just a space of 4 years.
We're not even arguing.
There are votes, Mr. Yampa.
So, see, I am not arguing that we have lost or won. We have lost for reasons we didn't have that vote. I'm only telling you, do an analysis of our numbers before in 2020 and what we have gotten now. You will see an obvious decline of some 2 million and more votes, right? If we had gotten those votes, just hold everything else constant. And let's assume that if we had gotten that vote, the difference between 2024 and the 2020 vote, you would obviously say that would have performed much better, and the NDC would have gotten.
The reason why I'm asking the question is
so without taking anything away from their victory, I'm just saying that look at the numbers and just see that our numbers have declined.
I'm saying that because
whether or not those are numbers that were supposed to go out and vote for us is something else. Hold that one.
You don't
constant.
believe that any NPP member had perhaps voted for John Mahama?
I don't know. I mean, if you look at the numbers.
Struggling to believe.
No. I'm just saying that these are hypotheticals. These are things you can't.
That's precisely why I'm making the point.
So
that you seem to be in denial that indeed the Ghanaian people voted out the NPP. You feel it's some other external
No, I
factors
think
that may have contributed to that?
No,
I'm saying
I
that
think
because
that's your processing of the matter.
I'm just asking.
What I'm saying is
yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm just saying we are not even arguing about whether Ghanaians voted us out or not. We're saying that looking at the numbers, we have accepted a defeat that has come to us. We accepted and we're working to come back, which we will do. But I'm just saying that if you're just looking at the numbers casually, here's a party that has the capacity in 2020 to win with that margin, about 6.5 million votes, right? Or more than that, right? And we're saying that that capacity is still there. And we have declined. And we're saying that once we're able to attain that number, this time we lost by a certain margin of vote, which we had in 2020. Okay, so it means that we have the potential to attain that number. So if you are making a projection to say that those numbers were supposed to be ours if they had gone out to vote, you're not too wrong, because you have demonstrated capacity that you could get that much vote. And so if this number of people had gone out to vote, right, those would have been our votes. I think it's a reasonable assumption to make.
In 4 years, just by this time, are we expecting, the NPP to form the next government? Is that your own projection?
Well, I think that as a political party, we'll go into 2028 with all our backs to the wheel, with our shoulders to the wheel, to try and win that election. Our goal is to reorganize our party, which is what we're engaged in now. I think that will pick up steam from this year, end of this year to next year. We'll pick our momentum, and then that organizational process comes with its own revival in the party, and I think that will catapult us into high gear and organization back in that, and the enthusiasm of the party coming back. I think that will put...
I'm asking the question because your General Secretary says you've not recovered from the defeat. At least he's not recovered from the defeat. Many more party members say they felt even something spiritual went wrong with the party. You see all these comments and you're asking, these persons are supposed to be leading the charge and giving hope to the party. Where's the hope within the NPP, and how do you hope to change the fortunes? Yes.
We are a party that have lost elections before, so we understand what it means to lose elections. What we're going through is a process post-laws to try and reassemble the party and get our thoughts together and appreciate where we are, the difficulty that comes with being in opposition and the hard work that must accompany that. That's been done. Now, different people process defeat differently. And so when people say they are still dealing with a shock, that's fine. But there will come a time, the party spirit will activate, and this party would get back. We've known adversity, from our founding up until now. The travails with the Nkrumah government, effectively outlawing all political parties, how we survived. In '69, we came back and won, massively. And the challenges with the...
Well, the odds were in your favor, actually.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I mean, whichever way it is, we have won. And then you come into this Fourth Republic and the difficulty, the uphill battle to confront Rawlings and his NDC, to be able to take them down and go through all those challenges. So this is nothing like we have not seen before. Right. We are capable. All we need to do is to keep calm heads, and I think the party is trending in that direction, and we will come back. And I don't have...
And who are you making the comeback with? That's been the bigger question for the NPP. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at least led the party into this year's election. He's yet to make any pronouncements on his political future. Is it premature to start discussing that? Because some names have started popping up on social media, people clamoring for candidates. Well, are you reining them in because the competition is setting in really fast?
I mean, that gives you an indication, or more or less answers your question, where the party is. The party, the New Patriotic Party, is an attractive political party. It's a mass-supported party. Party ordinarily, if you look at it, has a mass base of supporters across this country. And so the party would come back. The question of who leads the party, I think the party will determine that when the time comes. But naturally, the expectation will be to bring back, our flag bearer who led us, but that decision rests with the party to make.
It's a natural process?
Well, I mean, given history, right? Given history, if you look at President Kufuor in '96, naturally came back, second time won it. Akufo-Addo, with the difficulties of 2008. I mean, having won an election first round and therefore the things that happened, that's just democracy. But then persisted 2012 and then 2016. So if you're looking at that history, there's a pattern you would want to assume would unfold in the events ahead of us. But ultimately, that is a decision that the party...
And just for the records, we don't have any record pointing to the fact that you had indeed won the 2008 elections.
Well, I'm just taking... you know what I mean?
Because we're on national TV.
But it's first round.
I'm just pointing that...
I was very clear. It said first round.
Okay.
Yes. So I was very clear. Yeah. We wanted the first round.
No, you are a communicator, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, certainly. I said first round.
Yeah, first round.
Yeah.
Not the second round.
Well, it was second round when I formed government. Right?
Well, but once you're, putting that out, people will be taking you on that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is returning, possibly.
Well, I'm saying that, I'm sure you're not asking my preference.
I'm not necessarily asking but you're saying in the natural form of events.
But I'm just saying that I'm establishing for you a trend, which trend favors His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, but whether or not that trend will carry on is the preserve of the party. When we get to the point, party people will make the choice. But one thing I know for sure is that this party has a spirit and it has a certain record that it would like to continue to live by and to continue to make part of our development. So I am not in a hurry.
Do you feel that the verdict is out on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, at least? Well, Ghanaians have voted he was on the ballot, given the opportunity against John Mahama. And Ghanaians, made their minds clear. Why do you feel that in just 4 years, Ghanaians will change their mind about perhaps, and we're not assuming, we are not concluding that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be on the ballot, but he's had his stand.
Well, I'm saying that President Kufuor had his opportunity in 1996, and then he came again. So that's the pattern or history in our party that I think that our party people will go to the polls thinking about and wondering what to do. And I think that if that pattern is anything to go by, you will have an occasion where he would become the party's flag bearer again. But all of that rests with the party to make a decision.
Obviously,
I think there's a lot of amendment proposals that are coming, whether or not we're going to keep the same pattern we had with polling station people and all of that being part of the selection. If that survives, then the party people will make a decision. But whichever form party selection process or the electoral college assumes, ultimately, the party will make a decision in the best interest of the party, looking at the 2028 election. Any candidate that will go through that process would be a better candidate than whoever the NDC will present.
Obviously, you don't speak for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, but don't you receive calls from party members who say this was a candidate that was quote unquote foisted on us?
Yeah, no, I don't think. I have not received any call like that. I thought you were asking a question about people dissenting and thinking that somebody else should come. It wouldn't be a political party.
Well, you can call them former senior members of your party who are winning into and the likes who've left your party now, pointing to the fact that this is someone
those who have left the party don't have a say in the party.
They used to be members of your
but
party.
But they've left, so they don't have a say unless they are coming back.
The crocodile is coming out of the water and is telling us that well, he was new to the party. I think I get the moral of your question. You foisted him on the party for him to leave.
How is that
when it was in
How is it foisting if we've gone to an election and an individual win by almost 64%? All right, in a poll that was competitive. People have their own, concerns about the elections. But I tell you that there is no place on earth where you have a holy election that nobody contests and nobody has something to say about. So for that one is out there for everybody to judge. But he went through a competitive process. Won the election. It was scaled down from more than the 5 required to go through first round, and then they scaled it down to 5. He survived both elections. Anybody else who has issues with it can.
If Alan were to be in the race, would he have crossed the mark?
Alan was not forced out of the race. He exited. So that question has not arisen.
Are you at that
He
plan
left. Nobody
to bring
forced
him back to the party? Because just into going into the elections, there was sort of a disintegrated front for the NPP. Everybody sharing their concerns about the party and all of that. Are you having plans to reunite, bring everybody back?
We're a party where we're open, and I think that you see, one of the things that we have to insist on in our political life is people belonging to party, and I think that is a responsibility for our party to advance that education, is to get people to understand that belonging to a party is an ideas thing. So that idea, if that idea is true, and you join with that idea that this political party and the worldview it carries is what I believe will transform Ghana, that wouldn't change tomorrow. So your membership is almost linked to your fervent idea.
Is that not fanatism?
No, that's just like how you believe that if you're a Christian, that's how you go to heaven.
Right.
So we believe in the New Patriotic Party that the market principles are how we can get Ghana to attain the development that it deserves. So when I believe in that, I don't change that tomorrow. Right. And so when you exit the party, that idea stays with you. And I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot vote for any other party but for NPP. Given what challenges...
You wouldn't vote for John Mahama?
I'm saying I won't vote for him. John Mahama is a person, but he runs on a political party's ticket. All right. So I'm saying that I won't vote for any political party, but for the NPP is the only party I vote for because I believe fervently in that idea that that's how Ghana can progress.
You would only vote for John Mahama if you were to stand on the ticket.
Well, if he becomes an NPP person, absolutely, I work and vote for him. The point is,
regardless.
The point is that. The worldview of the New Patriotic Party, I believe without question that if we approach that, I mean, the NDC is talking a lot of things. The rubber is hitting the road now. We're going to see how they'll create all those jobs.
I'll take your view on some of them.
Yes, because already you see how they are more or less going back on some of the promises they have made. And these are a group that says that they are coming to create jobs. They are coming to do this, they're coming to do that. But the first act in government is to cancel jobs. And that, for me, is an issue that all of us have to be outraged about, you in the media, because you never understand how in a democracy, where our constitution gives a mandate that runs out at January 7th, and then a decision is made, and somehow somebody decides.
I'll take your thoughts on that shortly, but I just want you to conclude on that part. Is Alan coming back to the party?
Well, that belongs to the days ahead. If he decides to come, I think that our party, I'm not sure about that, but our party is open because we want more people in the band. And so if he wants to come back, I think that the party leadership at that time would consider his application to come back. And I don't think that there's going to be any objection to that if he repents.
Like a prodigal son, you want to call him?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, he's not... He can come. Even you can join us. Even His Excellency John Dramani Mahama can join us, and we're open to receive him.
Okay. How much of a blame is President Akufo-Addo taking in all of this? Because after the elections, it's almost as though, okay, well, we told you Bawumia wasn't going to win. He's the one taking all of the blame for the party's woes.
Who is saying this?
Your party members. We've had, some of them even blame.
I've not heard
blame
that.
how you selected your party leader. You claim that some of them are ex-members of the party now. Yeah. But how much of a blame is President Akufo-Addo taking now? Because he's on retirement. He's reflecting now over what had happened.
Well, maybe you have to try and get an exclusive interview with the former president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But as far as I am concerned, we went into that election as a team, and the outcome we own. So I don't see where we are dicing up responsibility and say this is...
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says, I'll be my own man. He then comes to say, I have my own vision. It was almost as though these two individuals were working against each other, quote unquote, at the tail end of the campaign. No concise message from these two individuals to say, well, I'm taking off from where the former president is leaving us off.
Absolutely. I mean, if you see the proposals we put forward in our manifesto, all of them build on what Akufo-Addo had done and actually promised to carry on the growth momentum that we're achieving under Akufo-Addo, right? And so there cannot be any daylight between the two. The idea is that it was an era that was ending and an era coming on with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So there are two distinct eras, and then I don't think that there can be any comparison of the two, one that is gone and one that is coming. And the idea that one will say that blame goes to this and blame goes to that, no, we went into the election as a unit and we prosecuted that election with a view of winning. Unfortunately, we didn't win. We'll take the loss and we're going to work.
Okay, last one before we focus on some of the national issues that you've been talking about, for instance, criticizing the NDC, is what your party, some other members of your party think, particularly the diaspora. We've seen some videos online circulating about how some of them are asking the party to render accounts on party funds and claims that some leading figures of the party did not put the campaign funds to judicious use.
Well, I mean, you always see that after an election where a party doesn't succeed at winning the ultimate prize. If we had won, you wouldn't hear anything of those nature. The NDC, when they lost, the former president, Rawlings, may he so rest in peace, was the first one throwing out the accusations that our friend Felix Kwachiofosu about this.
But the name wasn't mentioned at the time.
Sorry?
He didn't mention a name.
Well, but I'm saying, but we know that's what he was talking about.
Well, that's your claim, because I was at that event.
Okay,
actually.
well, but whichever way you look at it, that became the
but he didn't mention a name.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if you know the name now, why won't you mention?
No, you're claiming. You're claiming
okay. That's okay. I'm just saying that
the individual.
He threw out these allegations at individuals, and those individuals know themselves. Whether or not it's true.
Maybe you know the inside story. I don't. But he never pointed to
we're just saying, answering your question to say that post-elections, when victory don't come, these things happen. It is nothing really that will undermine our coming together. We're coming together, we're forging ahead as a party, and we're confident that once we finish these processes and we glue together as a party, we have the record and the capacity to be able to come back in 2028.
Last-minute appointments, as the NDC is terming it, but now the Chief of Staff has written a letter revoking the appointments of all of these people. You seem to have an issue with that as a party.
Don't you have an issue with that?
Well, what informed the significant roll-on of these people onto the payroll, knowing that the NDC government would have to commit the funds to it? Because the transition period, there was an agreement communicated jointly by the Akufo-Addo side and the government that no significant commitments in terms of finances would be made during the transition period.
That agreement or whatever was reached during the
transition, yes, right.
Does not trump the Constitution. The Constitution is clear, okay, in Article 66(1) or so, that a political, an elected president of the country assumes office, okay, from the day they were sworn in, and we know that to be January 7th, till the next person is sworn in, all right? So Akufo-Addo's term was still operational.
And running.
Up until the 7th, okay? Or if you like, midnight of the 6th or whatever you want to do. But Akufo-Addo remains the people's president. So whatever decision he makes is binding. This government that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC have formed is not their government. It's the people's government. And the people who elected Akufo-Addo at the time taking decision, whether it was a minute before that time, that decision ought to be binding. And so what they are doing is in contravention of the Constitution. And I think that all of us ought to be outraged about it. Now, what happens if tomorrow another government comes and says, look, we're going to take responsibility of what decisions you are taking. And so before the election, any decision you make, we're not going to honor it. That is aiming at our democracy. That is creating chaos. That idea ought to be discouraged. It ought to be discouraged. There are other, laws and provisions that this decision to revoke those appointments flouts. But I am focused on the Constitution to say that when a president's term is not ended, every decision. Now, what signal are you sending to the business community, the international community, that there's a point in time when the government is still in office, their decision cannot be taken seriously. And whatever agreement we sign with them, the new government will not honor. What you are creating is chaos, uncertainty. You position our country unattractive. Foreign direct investment will not come because people are not certain. One of the things, I think in 2019 or so, you saw that Ghana actually beat Nigeria in terms of foreign direct investment. one of the reasons will be the legal environment in our country, the predictability of our market. So people think that that's a safe place to put your money. That's one of the determinants. So if we are now creating a situation for any future government that will be formed by anybody, would think that at a certain point, that government decisions can be invalidated by the next government, you create an economic crisis for your country.
And I'm sure you've seen this by now. I'm saying that
on the basis of that, all of us should repudiate what the NDC is doing.
But by now, you've seen that reference to the Venerable Yao Safo-Mafo and the fact that he also made similar pronouncements when you took office.
You know, I am aware whatever decision he made was not carried through. Whatever statement was made was not carried through. But given that he made the statement nonetheless, you're saying that he made a statement and so therefore it justifies that it carries on. Then you're establishing a pattern that would go back. Somebody would not say, would say that not before or not after the election, but before the election. So all of 2028, any decision taken by the government, because it's election year, we're not going to respect it. And it will pass through because it's a slippery slope that you're establishing. Any future government can take on that and begin to add their own, more or less irresponsibilities to it, and then extend it way back, then create a problem for our democracy. I'm saying that we should nip it in the bud. What is happening does not make any sense for the chief of staff to
do you have any evidence?
Agencies will begin to respond to that. Today I spoke to an individual.
Right.
I was just about to. I'm coming.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you
an
that.
NPP person. It's not about an NPP person. Right. It's someone.
An average Ghanaian.
Average Ghanaian. Right. Average Ghanaian who, by conversation indicated to me, do you have any opportunities for me because I've been sacked?
Really?
Yes.
So there's evidence that someone has been sacked already.
You should actually...
I'm putting you to a strict proof on that because as of now, we haven't seen one, we haven't seen anyone dismissed or any official letter dismissing anyone after the memo. That's why I'm asking that question.
Absolutely. For purposes of
without disclosing their identity.
Yes, I can tell you where the person works. Okay, I can tell you where the person works.
Can you mention the
organization? The person works at NLA.
Oh, really?
Okay, that's what he just this. I'll show you the text message.
So NLA staff, have the appointments terminated. The fresh, newly employed.
Yes.
You're stating this
absolutely,
with proof.
Absolutely. If the person is lying, then I'm lying. But this is an individual.
So you admit that the person could be lying because there's no evidence as of now.
But the person has no reason to lie to me. I'll show you the text message.
Just a text. No indication that he's been truly dismissed.
I'll show you the text where I ask him, actually, I asked him if he has a letter to that effect. Okay? That he said he hasn't got a letter yet. But he's been asked not to come to work.
Okay, so the letter hasn't come.
Yes.
But the reason why I'm asking the question also is because just as you're saying, the Safo
how I wish he would somehow allow me to mention his name. No. Just say that I can mention his name.
I get the privacy aspect.
Hold on. Is someone, who can speak to this matter?
Right. But I'm saying this because just as you're saying the Osafo-Mafo case, the pronouncement was made, and yet your claim is it wasn't effected. Same thing.
You haven't seen any letter. There's a letter I saw also, I think from GES.
Because we are yet to receive any of those letters here at Joy News. That's why
they won't send it to you, would they?
Yeah, but we're a news agency. We would at least get to know about the
But I don't know for sure. Based on the pattern I saw with GES, I don't know if they will serve the individuals with letters. Okay, which is the reason why I asked this, my friend.
So it will be difficult to prove, isn't it?
Right. No. But if I have a job, and this individual has a job, he has an appointment letter, which appointment letter says he starts work and he's no longer working, what proof do you need?
The ultimate reason why I'm asking is because this may end up in court. Some NDC law, NPP.
Our national organizer has a process in place.
But if you don't have evidence to say, well, I lost my job because of what the chief of staff is saying, there's no letter to prove that, nothing to back that. That's why I'm
This is not rocket science. This is an individual. He's an individual. This individual I'm talking about, who has a job.
He's just been told, don't come to work. If I work at Joy News and someone walks up to me to say, don't come to work the next day.
You go back?
Well, I'll come back. I mean, I have an agreement with the company, Richard. Okay, let's do some
I'm saying that, but that's the difficulty. So the truth is that, I wish that this will just disappear.
Right.
Our minority leader has written to the president very courteously, if you read that letter, very respectful, focus on the issues, and pleading for the president to reconsider. I am a bit more radical about it. That is against the Constitution. A president with a legitimate mandate cannot make a decision for another president to come and append that decision. I think that we should face the issue squared and tell His Excellency John Dramani Mahama that this is not what you promised Ghanaians.
Right.
You say you're coming to create jobs. The 24-hour economy, we haven't got there. The idea is you're going to provide jobs for people. Okay?
Right.
People have jobs and you are revoking them unconstitutionally. Unconstitutional.
And again, you haven't seen any letter yet.
I'm saying that this individual has been sacked.
Okay.
And I've seen
Your
the
claim.
GS.
Because we like to do fact checking on our platform. That's why I'm pointing you to that you don't have evidence.
Anyway, let me commend you. I saw your retraction and apology to Dr. Mustafa Hamid about comments that you made.
It goes in line with what we stand for, fact checking.
That's fine.
Same way we're subjecting you to the proof.
But even this one, you don't have any liability. I'm telling you that an individual says that he's been sacked from work.
Okay, we'll verify that. We'll subject you to the check.
I can bring him for you to interview if you want to.
Yeah, but we have our own way of checking at NLA. We could just write to them. The issue about the last leg, the former appointees not opening up for accountability. You're just pointing out the Mustafa Hamid case. Indeed, possibly we might have that aspect wrong about the fact that he is wanted. But the OSP has told us what he's standing perhaps some possible charges for. The fact that they believe something happened at NPA. It feeds into the broader conversation as to the kinds of stories we're hearing post the NPP administration about corruption and the need for the former appointees to account to the people of Ghana. Do you have any plans as the NPP to at least open up, get all of these individuals that have questions begging to come out to the people of Ghana and account for what they've done?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
they are all outside the country now, isn't it?
But they are private citizens, so nothing precludes them from going wherever they want to go.
Will you be leaving soon, or
Sorry?
Are you leaving soon, Ghana? Soon?
I'm here. I'm talking to you.
Right. Okay. Right.
But the truth is that you were hearing about corruption long before we left office. And if you look at what happened in President Kufuor's time, the NDC, they always drive this corruption narrative. Okay, so there's nothing to worry about there. Where people will subject themselves to the law, but the NDC must operate with the law. Okay, they must deal with the law. Look at what is happening with special prosecutor going up and down about people being a fugitive. I mean, it's ridiculous how those processes have been, applied. It's wrong. It's not acceptable. But
he's taking the former finance minister off.
Well, it didn't have to come to begin with. But the point is that our people, our party will believe in accountability. Our people will be available to answer questions where there are questions to be answered. For their mandate, they will show up. Recently, you saw the issue about the National Service Authority issue, where former officials of that agency have come up to clear the issue. If there are residual matters to be addressed, I'm sure they will.
So you're not running away?
No. Where are we going to go? We don't have that record of running away. We'll be here. We'll deal with the issue here. It was the NDC members who ran away. My own sister, Sedinam Tamaklo, disappeared.
She was tried in absentia.
I hear, yes, she was tried in absentia, but she ought to be here. So our party, we don't have any history of our officials running away and tried in absentia. So we are here. We'll deal with the matter. Our preoccupation is how we get our party situated and contest the 2028 election. Matters to do with accountability, our people will be here to answer the question. In fact, I don't know if I can tell you this, there's an effective commitment, and right from the president himself has given directive to ensure that our people are available to do that. I just don't want to go into the details of what he says, but then there is that disposition from the president, an indication that stay and make sure that you account for our
the former president you're talking about.
I'm talking about, yes.
So
giving an indication.
Former President Akufo-Addo is giving that indication.
So in the manner he said it, I can't say, but that's a preparatory
so he's urging all former appointees.
He's clear in his mind.
Right.
We came to do the best we can. And I believe that when the dust settles, Ghana will see what we have done for the 8 years of Akufo-Addo's presidency.
So he's urging his former appointees to avail themselves for accountability.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no way he would discourage anybody.
He's told Ken the same thing.
I'm saying that Ken is available for any number of questionings.
Do we know when he's coming back?
Well, per the special prosecutor's indication that he's got, I think that somewhere in May he'll be in the country. But let me just tell you briefly
we need
before
to
you
go. Yes.
And anything to do with Ken, and the reason why it's unfortunate what has happened is that Ken, when he left the country, informed Chief of Staff Julius Deborah that he was out. And therefore, if he needed any questions or wants any answers pertaining to his office, gave him a phone number and an email to reach him. So we are clear.
Right. 30 seconds, any message to the NPP members?
Absolutely.
Clearly.
Yes, absolutely. We are coming back. Our people should take heart. The idea that we have lost is not our end. We will reorganize and we'll come back. 2028, we'll give the best shot.
And that's Richard Ahyangba. He's the Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party. He's a friend of the house. He'll be back, obviously, with others from the NDC. But tonight, and of course, thank you for joining us here on the Joy News channel. And bless us. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.